Yes, it's very beautiful today.
Oh yeah.
Really beautiful.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like very beautiful introduction, and everything is just so like a sense,
It's
like
so what? Sorry.
essence, like
Alison.
essence,
Oh.
and it's very contracted today.
Oh yeah.
Everything is burning, but something it knows
Yeah.
beyond the soul fire, and um, it is everywhere.
Yeah.
It just is, and it doesn't really matter what's happening around and what situation, what feeling. It just is,
Yeah.
and
The person will always, the character, even if there's not a person there, the character is going to prefer the movement towards pleasure. Like it's going to prefer eating a nice meal as opposed to something that's tasteless with no salt or anything. So the character, will always move towards pleasure, but it's free, all of it. The moving to it, the eating it, the getting it, the not getting it, all of those movements. And that, like, it's free inherently, no matter what happens, but the character always is going to move towards pleasure. I sometimes get the impression that people listen to these talks and they try to, as characters, give up pleasure, and I think that this is depressing for people. It's not about the character giving up pleasure, but pleasure isn't enlightenment. Pleasure is pleasure, and it comes and goes, and you'll never be able to fix it.
yeah,
You won't
it's
find what you're looking for in pleasure or in the movement of things.
knowing pleasure, knowing pain,
Mm.
knowing nothing actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always is the same.
yeah,
Everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for your beautiful words from this.
No.
It's like a honey. It's too thick. It's like a honey. It's like delicious.
Yeah. It is the most beautiful subjects, and it's not just. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a Lisa thing. It's like there's other body mind mechanisms, or that are speaking about this. It's just so beautiful. It
Yeah.
sounds really. It can sound really negative to a person. Like I can imagine people that have never heard non-duality before, and they say, and they can interpret it as saying, "Oh, she means that it's not sad that children are starving to death, or that we shouldn't help people." Like I remember once posting this post on my Facebook page about this dog that was going to be destroyed if it didn't find an owner within the next week or something. It was at a dog's home, and I posted it on my Facebook page, and it was like non-duality people were booing it, like you shouldn't help others, like that's against non-duality. And I found that so sad that that's what's interpreted from these talks, and
Yeah.
like it's really not to do with action of what the character does or doesn't do. The character of the human loves to help. It loves to be involved in community and other people and doing things and working together. And when people identify with non-duality, they take that on board, and then they try to behave as if they have no pleasure and they have no preference. And then this is when it becomes really cold and dry. And then you
Yeah.
get this whole movement from a lot of speakers now that are about bringing back the person, because they most probably, or they see this, the people that come to their talks have identified with non-duality. The person has identified with non-duality, and then it leaves this cold staleness, this deadness. And that's really not what's talked about here. This isn't about avoiding anything in the character world. The character has to be as it is, and the character will move towards pleasure. The character likes to help things. Most humans, as long as you're not like a very strong testosterone leader, but most humans have a big sense of empathy. Like they like to help and they like to work as a group, and we have this really beautiful quality of helping. And even though it's not somebody doing it, it's not personal, and it's a functioning, it's merely a functioning playing out, it's still something that happens in the character the human character. It doesn't happen so much in other animals. Some of them do it, but not so much. So
it's not really about the person.
No.
The person always will go this way it goes.
Yeah, the way it goes. And it's the biggest depression that the person will get listening to this is if it tries to identify itself with non-duality and it tries to be empty as a person. And then this is when you see those non-duality or spiritual people trying to walk around as if they're nothing.
Try to
be nobody.
Try to be.
But they're trying to be nobody, and the character can't be nobody. The character is in subject object. The character always is somebody, but ultimately it's all not two. It's all not broken down, and this isn't happening to someone. But the character has to be in this and that subject object. That's where it exists.
Not try to be holy and still and just be nice and.
Oh, well, no, not necessarily nice. If the character's going to be an arse, the character's going to be an arse.
Can be everything.
Can be anything.
Yeah. So it's not. It's seen more and more.
Yeah, and it's really not a prescription of a way to behave.
No. No. So.
Nice.
So it's everywhere.
My pleasure. Really lovely to speak with you again, Maria.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you.
Bye.